October 13th, 2025. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person meetings in council chambers. Public access is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda, and tonight's meeting will be broadcast on the city's YouTube channel online. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Leidy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lukman Hiramasa will be absent. Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Here.
Councilmember Kondo will be late. Councilmember Roper.
Here.
Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Here.
Councilmember Walker.
Here.
Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Tonight, as we observe both Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day, we have an opportunity to reflect on the complex history of this land and the people who have lived here for generations. These observances invite us to recognize the diverse cultures, experiences, and contributions of Indigenous communities, past, present, and future. With that in mind, I would like to start this meeting by reading the City of Northglenn's Land Acknowledgement Statement. The City of Northglenn respectfully acknowledges the land on which we stand is the traditional territory of the Apache, Arapaho, Cheyenne, Comanche, Kiowa, Lakota, Navajo, Pueblo, Shoshone, and Southern Ute tribes and nations, who were the original stewards of this land. We honor the history, culture, and contributions, both past and present, of these Indigenous nations and tribes. We pay respect to their ancestors, elders, and present-day community members, and extend our gratitude to the Indigenous peoples for their ongoing care and stewardship of the land, water, and resources. We also recognize the lasting impact of colonialism, forced removals, and continued injustices that have affected Indigenous communities throughout history and into the present. May this acknowledgement serve as a reminder of our responsibility to be mindful and respectful of the land, its history, and the Indigenous communities who call Colorado home. City Manager Geyer, are there any responses to resident inquiry?
Not this evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? I don't think so. All right, public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. City Clerk Small, is there anyone signed up to speak to council?
Yes, Madam Mayor. We have 4 individuals signed up in advance. The first person is Dustin McIntosh.
Hi, welcome. Please state your name and address or ward and provide your comments to council.
Good evening. Thank you for a moment to share again. I am Pastor Dusty McIntosh, 14236 Glen Coast Street, pastor of Next Step Church, just north on Grant here, and we serve folks from Northglenn, Thornton, Broomfield, and others. I'm here today with a few others to keep CR 54 in your minds, aka the rule against groups using the park. I believe you have had, or I think maybe you're having later, an executive session on that topic. I am thankful that the city has temporarily paused enforcement of CR 54, and I'm here to advocate that it be removed entirely. I want to emphasize 2 things. First, we do believe this rule was passed to target our specific church ministry and could be used in the future to target anyone. Second, this rule would exclude park use from many who read its vague language and assume it applies to them. First, why do we think this rule is targeted at our church ministries? No other group was asked to stop using the park before this rule, and we are the only ones this rule is being criminally enforced upon since its adoption. Chief May has been refreshingly honest in our conversation, citing complaints from residents that boil down to, I won't go to E.B. Rains Park because those people look homeless and homeless people are scary. When those calls come in, I believe this is an opportunity to educate concerned citizens. And having a human conversation, perhaps over some lunch in the park, is a great opportunity. If this rule is, as we believe, targeted at ending the church lunches, we should first be honest about the problem we are attempting to solve and work as partners to solve real problems and not made up hypothetical fears. We must consider, even if we have all the trust in the world in our current city government, staff, rangers, and officers, who could this rule be pointed at next by any future government? And the answer is anyone they don't like the look of, anyone who is other, just like people who look homeless and therefore scary. But let's consider for a moment all the wonderful citizens of Northglenn wanting to use Northglenn's amazing parks and reading the rules, reading CR 54. A family of refugees reads that a group is 5 or more. Does that apply to them? A walking club of seniors decides to sit at a park table. Does that monopolize all or part of a park facility? A Pokemon Go raid gathers around one of our art installations. Is that monopolizing? They were there last week, or last month, or last year. Is that recurring? Some of our immigrant friends who work so hard to stay on the right side of the law, to follow the rules, reading this rule, are they allowed in the park anymore? More than once? Can they sit together, stay together, play cricket together? Recall, this rule is being criminally enforced. It's not hypothetical. That is the present reality before this temporary pause that ends today. And if there's clarifying guidance that you would give to those folks, that you would reassure those groups that, no, of course, this rule doesn't apply to you, that clarifying guidance belongs in the rule. I asked the City Council to get rid of CR 54. It isn't solving any problem. It's certainly not solving the problem of homelessness. And it creates all kinds of new problems while setting a dangerous precedent. Let's partner together to pursue Northglenn's values of diversity, inclusiveness, and social equity. Thank you, and God bless Northglenn.
Thank you.
The next individual on the list is Brent Denny.
Welcome. Please state your name and address or ward and provide your comments to council.
Brent Denny at 8495 East 149th Drive. And it's Brent Denny. So I want to thank you all for allowing us to continue in the park, and I'll kind of go off what Pastor Dusty's already said, to thank you and have a chance to thoroughly review CR 54 and consider its future. I understand that this process is important, and I appreciate the careful attention that you are giving it. We already made clear in our legal memorandum the constitutional and legal deficiencies of CR 54, and through the submission yesterday of analysis of the Supreme Court cases and how they apply to this specific rule. Those issues, including vagueness, overbreadth, selective enforcement, and direct conflicts with the city charter, have been fully outlined and remain undisputed. What follows here is not a restatement of those legal arguments, but an appeal for reflection and leadership as you consider the ordinance's future. We ask that you weigh not only its legality, but its fairness, its spirit, and its alignment with Northglenn's values and harmony, safety, and goodwill. I also want to apologize that this is my first visit in front of you. You've received many emails from me. It's the first time with my new position at work that I was able to get here. So I'm glad that I'm able to be here tonight and deliver this message. Though I no longer live in Northglenn, it was my home for over a decade. I raised my kids here. They went to Hillcrest, Niver, and Northglenn. I ran a small business out of here. I got a permit to sell hot dogs in the park. I think I was the pioneer to create the permit process for the park. My kids came out and sold that with me. I worked across the street at Berkshire Hathaway and Innovative Real Estate for many years on the top floor of the North Metro building. So I have a heart for Northglenn and still, obviously work with the community that's here. I also want to share that I came from a family that believes in deeply serving in both our community and our country. I'm a veteran myself. I have 2 sons that served. One's Purple Heart recipient, who's now a Denver police officer. My other son did over a decade. He served 4 tours, 2 in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan, a little bit in Kosovo. He now works for the city of Fort Collins. My brother has a background in psychology. My sister is a breast cancer survivor. She's a life coach helping others that are similar to her. My mother in her career spent a lot of time doing charity work. She, like with the Billy Graham Crusade and Focus on the Family, etc. So I come from a family that served, and that's why I have this heart for a community. And I don't say that to bring attention to me, but to say the volunteers that you guys have seen over the weeks They have similar stories, great, awesome stories of reasons that they like to serve. So this is not only affecting the homeless, it's also affecting volunteers in the community that are trying to do something good. So there have been several narratives used to justify our removal from the park, none of which I think stands up to reason or evidence. First, it's been said that our gatherings increase police calls or create safety issues, yet there has been no data provided to show any rise in delinquent activity connected to the time in the park. The reality is those calls would occur with or without our presence. They simply reflect the normal activity of an area where the homeless like to congregate. And even if somehow our gatherings resulted in a single call every few months, would that compare to other groups that are in the park that are using it, that are having parties and doing birthdays, et cetera? I don't think if that's considered a safety concern, how could we have that same safety concern? Second, we've been told our gatherings are not consistent with the park's intended purpose. However, public parks are always served as places of community, fellowships, and service open to all. What we do is entirely consistent with that purpose. Third, some have suggested our presence makes our other visitors feel uncomfortable, which Pastor Dusty talked about. So being homeless or believing in God is not a crime, right? Fourth, there's been a claim that we monopolize or restrict the park for others. That's simply not true. Our lunches are open to anyone who wishes to come, eat, and fellowship with us. We do not restrict the area we use, and families, walkers, and recreational visitors continue to enjoy full use of the entire park while we're there. Our presence occupies a small portion of a 28-acre park for a brief time each week. So our activities do not prevent others from accessing the park. We are not impeding access. These narratives have shifted over time, but now have been supported by facts, have not been supported by facts. The truth is, sorry, I'm trying to get through this in my 5 minutes. The narratives have shifted over time, but none have been supported by the facts. The truth is that our gatherings have been peaceful, lawful, and compassionate from the beginning. What's happening here is not about safety or use of the space. It's about perception and policy that unfairly targets those that serve others. What we're doing isn't creating risk, it's creating relationship. It's bringing dignity, peace, and hope to a place that already belongs to everyone. That's what community is supposed to look like, and that's the kind of compassion that makes the city stronger, not weaker. We're not asking for special treatment, we're asking for equal treatment and for the freedom to continue serving the members of the community in a way that's lawful, peaceful, and grounded in compassion. We don't want to escalate this or create conflict. Our only wish is to continue doing what's right, to care for those who need it most, and to do this with understanding and support of the city leaders. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next individual on the list is Melissa Ryan.
Welcome. Please state your name and address or ward and provide your comments to council.
Yes, Melissa Ryan, Ward 3. And now I feel bad because I'm not here about CR 54, but I wish I was more educated on the matter, so I looked it up while you guys were speaking, so thank you. I come here today to speak to you regarding my concerns of eligibility for city council electees. While I was reading the latest edition of the Northglenn newspaper, I noticed that the current sitting mayor's daughter is running for a city council seat in Ward 1. My immediate thought was how? I think it's great when people want to step up for their city and make a change. I think it's great that younger people, such as her, are wanting to get involved. I can even respect that the idea of the mayor's daughter running because she admires her mom and has the same goals and ambitions. But what I cannot accept and find to be acceptable is the timing. Why can she not wait 2 years to run when her mom is out of office? She would then have time to gain real-world adult experiences and then apply them to her resume as a city council prospect. I was also reading the Northglenn Rules for Employment, which specifically states that relatives of elected and appointed city officials are not eligible for employment with the city. Does a council member and mayor relationship not apply here? If not, why? The way I see it, both the mayor and her daughter would be getting a check from Northglenn, so they'd both be employees. So I believe that's a violation and she should be disqualified for candidacy unless the mayor were to resign. She lives at home with her mother and she'd be responsible to report to her. This seems like a direct violation to citizens getting proper and fair representation from all of the wards, especially the ones that cannot vote within this election or for that ward. How can I be guaranteed as a tax-paying voting resident of Northglenn that she is not going to get special treatment because she's related to and lives with the mayor? I feel like there's a hidden agenda behind this move, and it makes me question if I have a corruption within my city that I've called home for almost 15 years now. I'd like to ask the city attorney to please look into this matter and justify how this is appropriate and fair representation for all citizens of Northglenn, because many residents feel that it undermines the integrity of your constituents. I have posted this on Facebook, plenty of social media outlets, next door. You can go and read the responses there as well. I want to make it clear that if somehow she is elected in and this blatant disregard for Northglenn citizens' rights is ignored, I will be here to question and raise concerns every step of the way, very frequently, to make sure my rights as a Northglenn taxpayer are not violated. I do feel like this matter should be looked at. I understand ballots already went out. I received mine in the mail myself a few days ago. It just seems like we need fair representation for everybody, and this undermines that just by her having the same last name. And I don't think that's right. I really don't. And I wish this was considered by all my council members and raised concerns before the ballots were issued and sent out to residents. Additionally, I would like to say, since I thought it was 3 minutes because of Board of Education meetings that I usually attend, I would like to say I really appreciate, again, Condo and Walker's help with a lot of the issues that I've had around this city, as far as getting proper signage for our driveway blockage areas that we've had issues for. I do wish Animal Control would maybe be able to come out once a month and patrol the area just to tell, I've had a lot of residents tell me, as I've been speaking with other constituents in my area about some issues, that they're having a lot of concern about the cars blocking their roadways again, anywhere from Lincoln to Pearl Street. I've had a lot of, especially the elderly people are concerned about it. Yesterday there was a blockage, and if an ambulance needed through, it wasn't going to happen. So there's that. They helped. I understand somebody else was upset about, I saw online, Animal Control was going out and ticketing people for unleashed dogs. I thank you guys for that. I understand there was an uproar, but with as many times as my dog and I have been chased out of parks by unleashed dogs, I felt like when I came here, maybe my concerns were listened to and Animal Control was asked to please look into that. So I appreciate everything you guys do. Hermila, I understand you're not up for re-election. I'm sad to see you go. I think you've been a good voice here as well. So thank you guys for your time. Have a good evening.
The last person on the list is Kathy Guy.
Hello, please state your name and address or ward and provide your comments to council.
It's Kathy Guy, 2885 East Midway Boulevard, 1456 in Broomfield. And I'm here today to speak on behalf of the homeless that we serve at EB Rains Park. And I'm doing it in honor of 2 homeless people that I met back in the 1990s in Florida who became homeless due to circumstances beyond their control. Everyone in this room could be homeless tomorrow or at some point due to circumstances beyond their control. One of the people was Paula. She was a senior citizen when I met her at a bus stop. She and her husband had a bait and tackle business in Florida, but the city decided that they were going to build a bridge. So they condemned their property, took it away from her, bulldozed down her home, a senior citizen. And what they offered her was nothing in comparison to what she had. When I met her, she was living in someone's shed, a senior citizen in a shed, and going to every city council meeting to try to get someone to listen to her and give her fair treatment. The other person was a homeless Vietnam vet. And if there are any vets here, I salute you. He was drafted. He didn't have any choice about going to war. He did what he was told to do when he was over there. And then when the vets came home, they were spit on. They were blamed for all the nonsense that went on over there, rather than blaming the country that sent them in the first place. And in the area where I lived, I had heard that there were a lot of Vietnam vets who lived in a wooded area apart from society. But John was different. John was very public. Not intentionally. He lived on the side of a road, the 4-lane road that I went back and forth on in the bus on the way to work and back. And one day I was on the bus and the guy next to me was looking out the window and he said, "That guy has dreams just like everyone else." And I looked over, and that's when I became aware of John. He had a little area in the grass, and he would go around and around and around and around, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, trying to wrap around his head what he had been through. Again, he had no control over this situation. At that point in time, PTSD was not even a diagnosis. The VA didn't help him or any of those vets at that point, and today I don't think they do much better all these years later. But anyway, what happened one day, he's gone. John is gone. Where did he go? And then I heard later in the week through the grapevine that someone had seen him across the bay, and he was doing well. And it was, I believe with all that I have, that the reason he was finally able to get up and walk away from that rut was because of all the people that stopped and said, "Hey, John, we see you. We care about you." And I was one of those people, you know. Once I knew he was there, I had to meet him, and I met him. He was very courteous. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Always clean. He didn't smoke, didn't drink, none of that stuff. He didn't have a sign. He was just a tortured young man. But people stopped, and they, like me, "John, are you hungry? John, do you need something to drink?" And he 9 times out of 10, he would say, "No, somebody stopped by earlier. I'm okay." And if you would stop and talk to him, he would stop his rambling. He would look you directly in the eyes. And your heart just broke for him. Other people brought him clothing, socks, T-shirts, undershirts, because it gets cold in Florida in the winter, below freezing sometimes. And so it was the people that stopped and say, "Hey, John, we see you, we care about you." That's what we do in the park. We tell these homeless people, "We see you, we care about you." And it could be something we would say would get them to move forward, hopefully, in their lives, like John did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Is there anyone in the audience who did not have a chance to sign up that would like to speak to council at this time? Welcome. State your name and address or ward and provide your comments to council.
Yes, my name is Trevor Hosterman, Ward 2, 11654, Claude Court. Honorable Mayor, esteemed members of City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I stand before you to urge the immediate repeal of Resolution CR 54, the Public Facilities Standards Amendment. As the sitting president of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, I was among those who initially recommended this resolution move forward. I supported the goal of clarifying rules around park use. However, the execution of this bill has proven to be a profound misstep. And I believe we must reverse the course immediately. The reality and the implementation of CR 54 is unacceptable. CR 54, specifically the provisions on page 6, prohibits group use of 5 or more individuals in our parks and pavilions on a recurrent basis, outside of the athletic fields. This is defined as meeting on more than one occasion. This resolution's definition of group use is also expansive in that it criminalizes spontaneous and reoccurring community interactions. This language is not targeting rowdy parties or disruptive groups. It is a sweeping ban that is proving to be discriminatory and actively harmful to the most vulnerable members of our community. As a resident, I am disappointed to see that CR 54 has already been utilized to criminalize long-standing gatherings intended to uplift the most vulnerable of our community members. Local organizations and individuals, volunteers have, for years, provided service to various members of the community. These services, such as providing food, clothing, and simple human interaction, are now criminalized because of the broad, sweeping language of CR 54. As a parent, in addition to criminalizing essential humanitarian outreach in our community, we now have criminalized community building and family life. Speaking personally, I sent my youngest daughter to the preschool over at Northglenn. It was nearly a daily occurrence for parents to gather themselves and their kids after pickup to play in the indoor playground or across the street at EB Rains, a practice that, if done today, would violate the language and provisions of CR 54. If my daughter was still in preschool at the Northglenn Rec Center, I would consider removing her and sending her to a different program. Northglenn stands on values of fostering diversity, inclusivity, and prides itself as a welcoming community. Our public parks are intended to be the heart of our city's community life and spirit, places for free, spontaneous assembly. By penalizing the act of reoccurrence by a specific number of individuals, this resolution fails to uphold our core community values. We are effectively placing an administrative barrier in front of compassion, fellowship, and basic community support. We must not prioritize control over community compassion. I respectfully ask that you acknowledge the unintended consequences of this resolution, repeal CR 54 immediately, and direct staff to draft an amendment that focuses solely on the preventing actual measured damage or disruption, not on banning the simple, beautiful, reoccurring act of community, family, and support itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who did not get a chance to sign up that would like to speak to council? No? Okay. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council? You can unmute by pressing *6. I don't see anyone. Okay, we're going to move on. Tonight we have 4 proclamations, so I would like to invite council to join me down front. We're going to give this a go. I do not have my glasses tonight, so we're going to see how this runs. So City Manager Geyer is going to accept the first one, which is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So, thanks. Whereas October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, an effort led by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency and the National Cybersecurity Alliance to raise awareness about the importance of cybersecurity for individuals, businesses, and organizations. And whereas the 2025 theme, Stay Safe Online, focuses on 4 straightforward but powerful actions known as the Core 4 that can enhance online safety. Use strong passwords and a password manager, turn on multi-factor authentication, recognize and report scams, and update software regularly. And whereas in our digitally connected world, cyber threats pose risks to everyone, and proactive cybersecurity practices will help protect privacy, prevent fraud, and enhance overall resilience. And whereas through education and community engagement, the City of Northglenn can empower residents, businesses, schools, and city staff to adopt best practices and become champions of cybersecurity, cyber safety. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Cybersecurity Awareness Month in the City of Northglenn, and urge all residents, community organizations, businesses, educational institutions, and municipal departments to learn and promote the Core 4 actions, participate in educational programs and events to raise cybersecurity awareness, and encourage the sharing of resources that help individuals and organizations stay safe online. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 13th day of October, 2025. Do you want to add anything?
Thank you, Mayor Leidy and members of council for elevating this important issue. We've done a lot of work internally, and unfortunately, our IT staff couldn't be here to accept this proclamation, so that's why I'm accepting it on their behalf. We have a small but mighty staff of 5 individuals right now who are actually troubleshooting an issue that came up this afternoon, so that's why they were unable to attend this evening. We really appreciate you elevating this issue. It's extremely important, and we're here to assist when in doubt. If you have a question about whether or not an email from the city looks suspicious or whatever it is, when in doubt, just reach out and ask us, and we'll do what we can to assist you and get you the information you need.
Great, thanks. All right, Bob, come on up. You're next. Thank you so much. So Bob advocates every year for Italian Heritage Month, and I support it as well as an Italian American. So here we go. Whereas Italian Heritage Month is observed across the United States each October to honor the history, culture, and contributions of Italian immigrants and their descendants. And whereas generations of Italian Americans have enriched our nation and the state of Colorado through achievements in arts and culture, science and innovation, education, business and entrepreneurship, public service, and community life. And whereas Colorado's Italian-American history runs deep, from 19th century settlers and miners to vibrant local neighborhoods, such as North Denver's historic Little Italy, reflecting traditions of family, faith, hard work, and civic engagement. And whereas Italian Americans have helped shape Colorado's economy and culture, including notable Colorado-based enterprises that have had national impact, underscoring the entrepreneurial spirit that strengthens communities like Northglenn. And whereas the city of Northglenn values the many residents, employees, business owners, and partners of Italian heritage whose talents and service contribute to the well-being, diversity, and vitality of our community. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Italian Heritage Month in the City of Northglenn and encourage all residents to celebrate and learn about the rich history, culture, and ongoing contributions of Italian Americans to our city, our state, and our nation. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 13th day of October, 2025. Thanks for being here. Do you want to say a few words?
Like the proclamation says, Italian Americans have been here a long time. My great-grandfather came here in 1890 to Denver. I want to thank the mayor, city council for making this proclamation. I go to a lot of Italian American events through this month. I was at one in Pueblo this morning. This is my favorite. It's been my home since 1987. And also, I am a member of the Dante Alighieri Society. It's a good place to share the Italian culture and the Italian language. You don't have to be Italian to join. And I'm also proud that Northglenn recognizes this and many of the proclamations they give to people who live in Northglenn. We have a very diverse group, and enjoy all of it.
Thank you. All right. Okay, our third one tonight is Substance Abuse Prevention Month, and we have members of our Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board. They requested this proclamation, and they are here to accept it. Ryan Easterling Babin and Madison Leidy. Hello, hello. Oh, I like that shirt. That's nice. It's a great shirt. Whereas October has been designated as National Substance Abuse Prevention Month, highlighting the importance of preventing substance misuse, raising awareness, supporting recovery, and reducing stigma. And whereas misuse of alcohol, prescription medications, illicit drugs, and other controlled substances present serious health and safety challenges affecting individuals of all ages and from all backgrounds. And whereas the earlier in life a person begins using addictive substances, the greater the risk of dependency. Prevention efforts focused on youth and vulnerable populations are especially critical. And whereas community-based prevention efforts aimed at education, early intervention, addressing risk factors, strengthening support systems, and promoting resilience can reduce substance misuse, delay initiation, and mitigate harmful outcomes. And whereas we are grateful for the efforts of organizations who provide substance abuse prevention programs, law enforcement agencies, first responders, and school personnel who are prepared to respond quickly to overdoses, and all community members who work to lessen the stigma surrounding substance abuse and lend support to individuals who are struggling with or in recovery from substance abuse. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Substance Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Northglenn, and urge everyone to learn about the signs of substance abuse disorders, share valuable resources, promote healthy lifestyles, and offer our support free of judgment. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 13th day of October, 2025. Do you want to add?
First off, I want to say thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. I did have dental work done today, so if I'm slurring, it's because my mouth is numb, I promise. So I wanted to say that substance abuse can happen to anyone at any moment. I'm living proof of that. You don't know when it's going to strike or anything. You just have to make sure you get the resources you need. And that's why one of my main focuses is what's written on my shirt today, normalizing sobriety. How many times do you go out to eat or drink or something with your friends, and if you say you don't want something to drink, you're felt like the odd person out? We have to normalize sobriety. And a lot of our homeless issues around the city also stem from substance abuse, mental health disorders, things like that. That's why every morning it warmed my heart to see in the park, because I use this drive all the time, the feeding of the homeless and the engagement with the homeless. I loved seeing that every morning because sometimes these people just need a listening ear, and you know that. So I thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, and no one left behind on this.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll take a photo. Our final proclamation tonight is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This proclamation was requested by our Mayor Pro Tem. The proclamation will be forwarded to the 17th Judicial District Family Justice Center Stakeholder Group. Whereas domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and family violence are pervasive societal problems that cause physical, emotional, psychological, and financial harm to victims, families, and communities. And whereas in Colorado, it is estimated that more than 1/3 of adults have experienced intimate partner physical violence, sexual violence, or stalking. And as many as 1.5 million high school students in the U.S. are physically abused by a dating partner in a single year. And whereas domestic violence is a scary reality for millions of individuals, and without intervention, the violence will only get worse and continue into the next generation. And whereas the Colorado Domestic Violence Fatality Review Board has found that victim protection orders, early intervention, community awareness, and coordinated responses by law enforcement, courts, health systems, and social services are essential to reducing domestic violence deaths and harm. And whereas the City of Northglenn recognizes the vital work of local domestic violence advocacy organizations, shelters, family justice centers, legal aid providers, law enforcement, and community volunteers who support survivors, empower those in crisis, and help break cycles of abuse. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Northglenn. Let us work together to raise public awareness, reduce stigma, educate our community, promote resources, and encourage prevention and intervention strategies to end all forms of domestic violence. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 13th day of October, 2025. So while we do not have the members of the Family Justice Center here to join us in the photo, I was hoping that our law enforcement partners would come and be in the photo with us. You want to come up, all three of you? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right, now I'm very excited to introduce, or let them introduce themselves, introductions of our new city lobbyist, Foster Graham, Milstein, and Kalisher. Am I saying that correctly? Come on up. Come on up. Introduce yourselves and tell us what we're in for.
Great. Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. We're excited to be here. My name is Adam Berg. I'm the Senior Policy Advisor at Foster, Milstein, Graham, and Kalisher, a law firm based here in the Denver metro area, and your new state lobbyist, which we're really excited about. I'm joined tonight by two of my colleagues, so David Foster and Amelia Steffen. I am not an attorney. I'm thankful to be surrounded by very smart attorney colleagues. But we're really excited. We are only 92 days away from the kickoff of the legislative session, so it feels like it's right around the corner. Really excited again to be here representing Northglenn. Some of you know I actually worked in-house for Adams County for almost 5 years with the Board of County Commissioners before I took on a couple other roles before arriving at Foster Graham. But thrilled to get to work with you. I think we have obviously a crazy session ahead of us given the state budget. And here to hopefully be a resource for you and the people of Northglenn as they need it.
Excellent, excellent. Do council members have any questions? I don't see any questions. I think I would probably just, on behalf of us all, welcome. We're looking forward to this partnership, and we're very excited to have you on board. Oh, sorry, Councilmember Walker, late hand up.
Thank you. After our meeting today at the Legislative Committee meeting, I just want to say and let you guys know that this lobbyist group is very well informed on our issues. I think they're going to serve us very well. They're very, like I said, very well educated on some of the issues that are important to us, like the mental health transitional facility. They know it inside and out. They know what's happening down at the state, and they know, what matters to us. So I'm excited to have you all on board, and thank you.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much, and thanks for spending some time with us. We'll see you soon. Okay, next up, the financial report, August 2025 update. Deputy City Manager Jason Loveland will present this update to council.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Presenting the August 2025 financial report. I'm going to start off with everyone's favorite topic, sales and use tax update. Year to date, sales and use tax is down 1.5% compared to the previous year. And again, this is sales tax data through July that is collected in August. Within that number, auto use tax is down 3%. Sales tax itself is down 1.2%. And then food tax is up 5%, with the marijuana tax being down 9.5%. So touching on kind of those key components of that sales and use tax figure. Reflecting back at the same time in August of 2024, sales and use tax was actually up 4.3%. Auto use tax is less bad this year. It was down 8.5% last year. It's down 3% again this year. Sales tax itself through August of last year was up 5.9%. So we're seeing a large drop there to be down 1.2%. Food tax was positive last year at this time, about 6%, and then the marijuana tax was down about 9%. So we continue to see that slide on the marijuana tax and the auto use tax in a couple of consecutive years. So we'll obviously keep a close eye on that. Skipping ahead to the general fund. Revenues within the fund are at $23.8 million. And that's a decrease from last year of 2.8%. We have a couple of things going up and a few things that are going down. Property taxes, charges for services, fines and forfeitures, those are all trending upwards. But again, we're getting hit with a decrease in sales and use tax. Intergovernmental revenues, which we expected with the ARPA funds going away, or subsiding. One of the larger areas on the sales and use taxes in the use tax specifically to construction, so building material use tax, other permits associated with construction are down between 30 and 60% depending on which particular category. That is something that we planned for and expected and budgeted for, but coupled with the hit of that decreased revenue plus the sales tax piece that we were projecting 3% growth, we're definitely behind schedule on what we had planned for 2025. Expenditures are in the fund are tracking consistent with budget at $26.8 million. That's about 66% of the spending, which we're 2/3 of the way through the year, so that is in alignment. Any questions on the general fund specifically?
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. This is maybe more in general, but and also more to bring awareness for our listeners and viewers. So the closing of the Safeway is going to clearly impact our the food tax revenue that we get. But I just wanted to clarify, if people order online groceries from anywhere else, that some of that, at least some of that tax revenue comes to Northglenn.
Correct.
Okay, so everybody do that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
We'll touch on that in a little bit more detail.
All right, thank you.
In a moment, but yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So in the water fund, total revenues are at $9.3 million. This is actually, again, a decrease year over year of 2.8%. That's largely driven from consumption. So water consumption is down 5% through August. So those lesser services being utilized of water do drive and have an impact on the revenue side. Expenditures within the water fund total $5.8 million. That accounts for 30% of the annual appropriation. A majority of that is categorized under capital projects. But as far as scaling on an operational standpoint, we're in line and on track with kind of our operations. Again, we know those one-time expenditures for capital projects vary from year to year, but nothing of concern within the water fund. In the wastewater fund, total revenues are just under $4.2 million. That's an increase of 3.8% over the prior year. We did have a small rate increase, which is impacting the positive trajectory of that revenue. Expenditures within the fund, total of the wastewater fund totaled $2.5 million. Again, it's about 30% of total spending. And again, in comparison to on the operating side, so salaries, benefits, fuel, and things like that, we're in line with the budget. And then the change largely is capital projects from year to year. And then in the stormwater fund, revenues are $313,446, which is about a 1% decrease over the prior year. We shouldn't expect to see that carry throughout the year. Part of that is just timing of billing. And then on the expenditure side, just over $365,000, which accounts for about 48% of the appropriation for the stormwater fund. Again, no outliers on the revenue or expenses in the stormwater fund. And then lastly, the sanitation fund, total revenues of just under $1.3 million, which is an increase. It's an increase of $9, amazingly, which doesn't really register as a percentage. So it's very flat, as we would expect, with no change in the fee from year to year. Expenditures in the fund total $1.4 million. That's about 45% of the total appropriation. We'll see a change in the next month with actual receipt of some of our fleet vehicles that we have had on order for 18 months that we finally received. So we'll see that spending increase for the September financials. I'm going to jump to page 11 just to provide a little bit more detail on how sales and use tax are doing geographically within the city. You'll see that total tax collected by geographic code. Unfortunately, most of those are red, so we're not in very good shape there. You will see the very top line, we refer to out of state, and that's kind of the online shopping, so that can come from online orders within the state that are coming in or from outside of state, so think Amazon, Walmart.com, things of that sort. That's up about 16%, which is really holding us steady as consumer spending, as we've talked about for a few years, has changed. However, when we remove that number, the brick and mortar locations within the city are down 7%. So I think that's just something to be mindful of when we talk about our shop local initiatives and things of that sort. That really does matter. The local economy right now is lagging further behind than kind of the macro level view of what sales and use tax are doing. So I just wanted to bring some attention to that. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from council? No? Okay, no.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Moving into council communications, I believe we have Councilmember Burns online.
Hello. Yes. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who came and spoke. It's really
Councilmember Burns, your
nice.
volume is really low. Can you speak louder?
Kind of. Can you guys hear me?
A little bit.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll make this super brief.
That's
Thank
better.
you to everybody who came. I want to thank you. Huge shout out to city staff. Thank you for the beautiful flowers. As some of you know, I was in the hospital at the beginning of the month. I ruptured both my eardrums, and I have been recovering. And so, shout out to my AirPods that are pulling double duty tonight, acting as hearing aids through this technology for me. But thank you so much again to everybody. And I'm here, even if I can't hear you guys that well. LOL. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker?
Excuse me, thank you. I want to say thank you to Dustin, Brent, Miss Melissa, Kathy, and Trevor for coming out tonight and speaking. We hear you guys, and that will be taken under advisement. I also want to report out on the Legislative Policy Committee that met tonight. Obviously, since we're not in session, there's not a lot to report on, but thank you for our lobbyists group for staying. Some of the things we did speak about is the CML-initiated legislation, which I will be present for at the CML Policy Committee this Friday. Ms. Shannon is presenting on that. Northglenn is the very first article of business about the mental health transitional facility living and making that permanent. And so that's where we're at right now with the Legislative Policy Committee. But I'd also like to ask council for consensus to maybe bring something to a study session. I haven't emailed you guys on this, but after meeting with some residents, there's quite a bit of concerns over on Larson, near Larson Park and just the area over there with stop sign running. And I know we passed the safety sensitive zone ordinance 2 or 3 years ago. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. And we've seen great success with that, not only in Fox Run, but on Community Center Drive. And we always said we never measure the success of it by the number of tickets written or expanding it every year. But I think it's time we maybe take a look at this again because I know there are more than 4 areas that we have issues with in the city. So I'd like just to, and it doesn't mean we have to put a new one in every ward, but I'd like to take another look at expanding this program to maybe some other areas too.
Sure.
I appreciate the support. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Jaramillo?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the city for the land acknowledgement and also recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day. Also like to thank everybody who came out and spoke regarding CR 54. I'm just glad to see people, really, passionate about, taking care of each other. I think that's what the world needs a lot more right now. So thank you. Excuse me. Okay, so on October 6th, we conducted the Outside Agency Funding Committee to meet to help fund some sponsorship requests for Rocky Mountain Partnership State of the Partnership Luncheon, which is October 23rd. And I encourage my colleagues to request some tickets. I forget the amount that we came to for that one.
About 1,350.
I knew it wasn't 1,000 or 1,500, but it was between that amount. Sorry, I don't have the numbers for you. We also funded Food for Hope. It's Feed 5,000. It's to help feed people who are unable to or having difficulty acquiring any food, obtaining food, especially during Thanksgiving time in November. So we helped fund, was it 150 baskets? Yep, 150 baskets. So that'll help. So we're doing our part here too in the philanthropic side of our outside agency funding. That's what that essentially is. So we're doing the similar work to help benefit people that are in need. Other than that, just want to thank everybody for coming out and being very passionate. Keep coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to everyone who came out, all the residents who came out and spoke tonight. Excuse me. Update from the Northglenn Senior Organization. There's a meeting, we'll have a meeting next week. There's still time to sign up for the pie bake-off this Friday, as well as upcoming Veterans Day. If you submit a photo to be displayed, it'll be displayed at their lunch event on Veterans Day. They also have yard signs, so if you're interested, you can go to the city website or call the senior center to gain access to that. Lastly, I attended the opening of Black Rock Coffee in Ward 2. It was very exciting. I was there with my daughter and the econ team, so thanks to the city staff for being there as well. It was a good group of people. They got a young team. There's lots of energy. I was over there later in the evening, because there's a pizza place I really like over there, and they had people out on the patio. So it was really good to see, people just hanging out on an evening, just enjoying some coffee, and in that area especially. So look forward to kind of many more days. The Mexican mocha was really good, so highly recommend that. I believe that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. I want to thank everyone, like we've said, other people have said, thank everyone who came out to speak to us. Sometimes we don't hear about an issue that we're considering until after it goes into effect. So I wish there was some better way we could get the information out so we could get that input before these things go into effect. So again, thank you. Also, I attended the IT director candidates meet and greet. We had, the city had 2 excellent finalist candidates, and I want to congratulate and welcome Virginia Roberts, who was chosen to be our new IT director. On October 18th, I want to remind everyone that this Saturday is the Safe Street Halloween that our city sponsors, so come out and bring your kids and grandkids and have a spooky time. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention was I was prepared to give a little talk about Indigenous Peoples Day, so I'm very glad the mayor read the land acknowledgement that the city put together and is just outside our city hall here on the wall. And want to acknowledge that this land that's now Northglenn was once being taken care of by other people, and we want to make sure we honor them. And that's about it. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I apologize for being late, as I was on a road trip coming back from Columbus, Ohio, to attend a former CEO's retirement, Admiral Patrick Hayden, after 33 years of service to his country. So, but I'm here. And the things I want to report out, going back a couple weeks, back on September 25th, the Mid-Cell Cell Institute, which many of you are probably very familiar with, had their annual Babayar ceremony, which is down south. I want to say it's Inglewood area. And this was to commemorate the assassination of over 3,000 Jewish people in World War II. It was allegedly the largest massacre of Jewish people that occurred in that conflict. That was my first time being there. And our Attorney General, Phil Weiser, was the guest speaker. And it was, for me, a great learning opportunity just to kind of learn from history, because if we do not learn from history, we tend to repeat it. The next item is in regards to DRCOG. As you know, DRCOG received a $200 million EPA grant as part of the effort to transition people from traditional heating, cooking sources of natural gas to electric. And so we have now have a official title for this initiative. It's going to be called Power Ahead Colorado. And I will also become the chair of that subcommittee, which provides oversight effective next month. So again, lots of things happening in that realm. And I would encourage you to go to DRCOG and kind of understand some of the things that they're doing here to really help move ahead sustainability. And then lastly, along with Dr. Goff, I was also there at the IT director interviews along with Mayor Pro Tem. And I was very glad to have that opportunity really to curate the final 2 finalists, and really delighted that we now have a new IT director on board. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Roper.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to everyone who came out and spoke tonight. I attended last weekend the 3rd annual 5K breast cancer walk that the city put on. And it's amazing because it's been growing every year, so that's really incredible. Also this year, through HerScan, they were able to fully fund 22 scans for women who were unable to obtain those were either underinsured, and so that was really amazing that they were able to do that for 22 people. And so that was amazing, and the turnout this year was amazing, and the weather was beautiful. And there was a lot of dogs and a lot of joy there. So it was a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of quick things. I was also at the Black Rock Coffee ribbon cutting, and that is a cute, 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 fun little business. So definitely go check them out. One thing on their grand opening day, ribbon cutting day, all the drinks were free, so they had lines around the block. But if you download their app, you get a welcome drink for free, so you could go check it out. But it's delicious, lots and lots of options, and it was a fun event. I also had last Saturday hosted my coffee with the mayor. I did it here at City Hall, and our focus, our topic was Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And so we had a little presentation and then some Q&A with residents. Heard some, concerns about different code issues. And so I did let them know that we are going to be looking at our code enforcement process and policies soon. So that's coming up. The next coffee with the mayor is on November 15th at Gunther Tootie's. So that'll be fun if you want to come out and hang out. Safe Street is coming up this Saturday on the 18th. So please come out for that. Bring your kids, do some trick-or-treating. It's a good event. It's sponsored by our police department, and it's really fun, so don't forget about that. I had a quick personal thing. I had looped in Mayor Pro Tem, but she is not here tonight. So I have a recruit at the Marine Corps boot camp, and he sent me a letter and said, I might get to call you, but I don't know when. So you have to answer all of your phone calls. So now I'm answering all of my phone calls, which is such a bummer because he's not the one calling me. It's all these loan companies that want to loan me money. So if I do answer and hang up on someone that I don't want to talk to, it's because I'm anxiously awaiting to hear from my son. Hopefully he's doing well. And then I had sent out an email to all of council with an example of a resolution that the city of Lone Tree had passed. And I heard from Councilmember Walker and Councilmember Kondo with a positive response of, yes, let's do something as a city of Northglenn. I just wanted to raise that again and see if we could get consensus around it. It's about supporting home rule, which we do support, and we have discussed publicly before, but I sent everyone an example. We can discuss it again later. But you're good with it? Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in? You don't know? You can look at it. Did you?
Yeah, I did look at it.
Okay. Do you want to discuss it?
Tonight?
Well, at some point.
Yes.
Okay. Great. I think it's a great idea. So I think we should discuss it. And we have enough to at least have a discussion about it, not necessarily drafting a resolution yet. I will send you some copies. City Manager Geyer, I know City Attorney Hoffman is probably looped in, all the cities that have, basically proclaiming that home rule is something that we stand behind.
I've seen a resolution in support of the litigation. I haven't seen a general home rule support, so.
That is what it is. And I can send you the examples that are going through Metro mayors, and then we can pull them all together and open that discussion to see if Northglenn wants to weigh in. Okay, excellent. And I think that's all I have. City Clerk Small.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have one quick item tonight. As it was mentioned earlier in the meeting, ballots for the November 4th, 2025 election were mailed to voters on Friday, October 10th. One item that I wanted to elevate is that the state of Colorado provides a language assistance hotline to any voter that needs translation services in real time. So folks can call a free hotline, receive translation on any spoken language, and also American Sign Language. So I wanted to provide that phone number. It is 303-860-6970. And voters can also visit one of the voter service and polling centers beginning October 27th to receive translation services in person as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. City Manager Geyer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have two questions for Council this evening per a conversation that the Mayor and I had a couple weeks ago for agenda planning purposes. And I know this is probably front of mind for several of you. As we're entering the holiday season, I would like direction on whether or not council would like to meet the week of Thanksgiving, November 24th, and the week of, it would be the Monday, December 22nd, prior to the Christmas holiday. The reason why I'm asking this evening is so that way we can shuffle agenda items around. There will be some time-sensitive agenda items, in particular with the December 22nd meeting. Per the charter, council is required to hold 2 regular council business meetings a month, and so I'll need to have one of the meetings, based on direction, be a special meeting, depending on what direction you'd like to give me.
Does anyone on council have thoughts on the schedule? Councilmember Roper?
I think I would prefer to meet the week of Thanksgiving and not Christmas holiday.
Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ditto.
Councilmember Nowicki? Councilmember Kondo, do you have something else to add? No. No? Okay. Councilmember Goff?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. You're good? Okay. Is that clear
Okay,
enough?
No meeting on November 24th. I'm just kidding. No meeting on December 22nd. Just checking.
Yes.
Making sure. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. City Attorney Hoffman?
Just 2 quick items. I did attend the annual seminar on municipal law that CML puts on. It was last Friday and Saturday. And I did speak on a recent Supreme Court decision related to executive session. So it was a good conference. The decision actually came out last Tuesday, and I had the presentation Friday morning. So not a lot of time to prepare, but I think it went fine. And then I will be attending the CML Policy Committee with Councilmember Walker and Mayor Pro Tem Lukman Haramasa this Friday related to the mental health transitional facility CML-initiated litigation, or legislation, sorry.
Thank you. And congratulations again on your 40th anniversary.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, I will close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Moving into public hearings tonight, the first one, CB 2030. Will the city clerk please read the title?
A bill for an ordinance amending sections 11-3-2 and 11-3-3 of the Northglenn Municipal Code concerning natural medicine businesses.
I will now open the public hearing on CB 2030. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against CB 2030? Please state your name and address or ward for the record and provide your comments.
Trevor Hosterman again, 11654 Claude Court, Ward 2. I'm coming to you all with 15 years of professional cannabis compliance experience. My career is built on understanding and following the strict rules and regulations established by both the state and local licensing authorities to conduct cannabis business operations. It is precisely because I respect effective regulation that I must speak out against the proposed local rules in Bill CB 2030. I strongly support the legalization of natural medicine and welcome the expansion of plant medicine businesses to our community. The local regulations proposed here, however, are not merely prudent, they are excessively restrictive and will be detrimental to Northglenn's economic future in accepting these plant medicine laws and regulations. These rules will not foster a safe, successful industry. They will actively push legitimate business to seek operation in less restrictive jurisdictions, such as Denver, leaving our city with nothing but missed tax revenue and limited public access to natural plant medicines. I urge you to reconsider the following 4 areas of extreme overregulation. The hours of operation are limited to Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. One part of plant medicine is therapeutic access. We are literally limiting people for a 9 to 5 window of opportunity to receive therapy. Some of these plant medicine sessions will take several hours because of what is happening. That is too restrictive. The state has established a regulatory framework that allows for evenings and weekends. Our local rule, however, creates a system that is fundamentally inconvenient, effectively blocking access for our very residents and those in neighboring cities that might seek medicine in our town. In addition to that, the zoning barrier. The rule mandates a half-mile separation between natural medicine businesses and is effectively restrictive, especially concerning Northglenn's geography. Northglenn is a landlocked, developed city with finite commercial space. Your existing zoning already significantly limits where the businesses can legally operate. Layering a half-mile separation on top of these limits does two things. First, it makes it geographically impossible for more than a handful of licensees to ever exist. And secondly, it severely stifles competition and business growth. This is not a regulation. It is a de facto numerical cap that discourages investment in this industry. In addition to that, and in the same vein, the proximity to parks and pools. The inclusion of public parks and public pools within the 500-foot proximity buffer is an unnecessary and overly broad restriction. This level of precaution goes beyond standard regulatory practice and creates severe unintended consequences. I have already identified areas such as along Irma and Leroy Drive, where a park is situated within an otherwise approved commercial zone. This single unnecessary buffer effectively renders the entire commercial strip non-compliant, further shrinking the minuscule amount of viable business property. We should protect schools and childcare, but regulating distances from every public park is simply going too far. And lastly, the ban on extraction and manufacturing processes. The prohibition on the processing of natural medicine using common industry materials, including carbon dioxide or CO2, is too restrictive. CO2 extraction is a non-flammable, non-hazardous process widely regarded and approved at the state level. Outright prohibition of this technology, which is essential for creating specialized products, does two things. It prevents local businesses from manufacturing high-quality, high-value goods, and it forces them to rely on imports from outside the city, crippling the local economy. I ask you that you extend the hours of operation to be more viable to those seeking plant medicines, as well as operators who are manufacturing or cultivating plant medicines. I ask you to remove or significantly reduce the half-mile business separation. I ask of you to remove the public parks and pools from the sensitive use buffer. And I ask of you to allow for the extraction of plant medicines, at least using CO2, if not the full gamut that is allowed under state regulation. Aligning our extraction policy with the state will allow for plant medicine manufacturers to be innovative and create plant medicines here in Northglenn. By making these amendments, you honor the spirit of the state law and ensure that Northglenn is a destination for responsible business and not a deterrent. The future of psychedelic medicine is bright, and passing this bill as it currently stands will leave Northglenn behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak either for or against CB 2030? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Next public hearing, CB 2032. Will the city clerk please read the title?
A bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Article 14 of the Northglenn Municipal Code concerning unclaimed property.
I will now open the public hearing on CB 2032. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against CB 2032? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. The next up is Station Village Preliminary Plat and Vested Rights Agreement. I have a big script to read here, so give me a few minutes. Okay. I will now open the combined public hearing on the application for the approval of a preliminary plat and approval of the vested rights agreement for the Station Village property located generally along the northwest corner of East 112th Avenue along York Street. The Northglenn City Council has jurisdiction to conduct this hearing under the applicable provisions of its Home Rule Charter and Chapters 3 and 11 of the Northglenn Municipal Code. The procedure to be followed in this case will be as follows. City staff will give an integrated presentation on the two applications to City Council, including the related agenda items. The applicant will also make a presentation in support of the development application, including the related agenda items. All other persons in support of and opposed to the application shall then be entitled to present public comment or other evidence. The applicant may then present any rebuttal evidence. Council members may ask questions of the staff, the applicant, and the public who testify. All witnesses will be placed under oath by the city clerk and may be cross-examined by any party, counsel for any party, or the members of the city council. Are there any objections to the jurisdiction of the city council or to the form or substance of these proceedings? Hearing none, staff may proceed.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brooks Sabota, Director of Planning and Development. As the Mayor read through their what we're here to consider tonight, I do want to point out the one thing that we're not considering tonight, which is the major site plan. The vested development agreement that you're considering is related to the major site plan. However, the final approval of the major site plan rests with the Planning Commission. And so with that, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on October 7th. They also considered the preliminary plat and the vested development right agreement as well. On those two items, they recommended approval to bring forward to City Council. That is why they're here tonight. On the first two considerations of the major site plan and the preliminary plat, the Planning Commission voted 4-1 on both of those items. The main concerns that were discussed in that deliberation at the public hearing was parking requirements, the height of the buildings, the proposed density for the project, as well as the traffic mitigation. A couple things I will also point out, which will be in the presentation, is that Public Works has reviewed the project for its infrastructure and its mitigation impacts and has determined that they've adequately met those. I'll also elaborate a little bit further on in the presentation about those specifics. So feel free to jump in at any time if you have questions on those items. But primarily tonight, what we're here to consider is the preliminary plat and then the vested development right agreement. So with that, I will jump in to the presentation unless there are any questions.
Nope.
All right. So we have here Station Village LLC is seeking approval of the plat and the vested development rights. It is 300, that's a typo, it's 305 units, not 338. The star on this vicinity map is where it's located, and for those who don't know, I'm sure everybody does, it is directly south of the RTD N-Line station. To the right of the blue box is City of Thornton. To the bottom and to the left is City of Northglenn. As you can see, Thornton has undeveloped land adjacent to this area. So overall, this is just a general overview of the property. It is a zone mixed-use corridor. It's currently undeveloped. The parcel borders the City of Thornton to the east, RTD to the north, and is prime for high-density residential development. The reason for that statement in the presentation is that we have done a stationary master plan in conjunction with the City of Thornton for this area and had identified this as an area of opportunity for higher density based on multimodal with the station being located there. This is just the adjacent zonings. We have a map coming up that sort of depicts that. So we have single-family residential to the south. We have a slightly higher residential density, single-family residential to the west and higher single-family residential to the south. Also to the south is the industrial park area. And then to the east is undeveloped Thornton property. And just to the north of the RTD Park and Ride is the Moose Lodge property. Oop. I hit it once, I promise. Let's go back one more. All right. Also, just want to make note that this was properly notified for tonight's public hearing. And before I jump into the case analysis, I do want to touch on a couple of highlights about this particular project. This project has been on and off going for the last 10 years. In 2017, I mentioned earlier the stationary master plan, where that was a collaborative effort for both the City of Thornton and Northglenn, where we had, I think, over 450 people participate in public processes related to that. The plan that the stationary master plan that was adopted by City Council was also incorporated into the city's comprehensive plan. And effectively, this particular development on the major site plan side of this equation essentially reflects what was identified in those processes. That was in 2017, and then also in 2019, the applicant made application for high-density housing for mixed-use corridor. One other thing, in 2017, the RTD Park and Ride Station also went through a PUD and planning process, and in that, a couple things that happened is that we were able to leverage a partnership with Thornton to basically mitigate future roadway impacts that far exceed not only what RTD was doing, but also what this project will bring to the roadway network. Part of those improvements was building out the intersection of York Street and 112th, as well as a signalized intersection for Foxshorn Parkway, which did not used to have that, as well as a pedestrian trail system that connects east to west along 112th between the two cities. So all of these things were also kind of done in the process of this project moving forward through its entitlements. And I do point that out because one of the concerns is about traffic and roadway impact, and why aren't we building a 5-lane road versus what we have out there today. I would point out that between the original construction of the roadway improvements in 112th in the city of Northglenn, that was studied at that time. We also looked at it with the RTD station. We also looked at it with the stationary master plan, and we also evaluated it as part of this application. And so as what we see today, we have identified through the engineering analysis that this project adequately mitigates all of its impacts in that regard. Also want to mention here before I jump into this, there is also floodplain consideration. This property is currently in a floodplain, and they are proposing mitigation measures associated with that through a FEMA process. The city and FEMA and Thornton have all signed off on that, as well as the roadway improvements that are associated with the project. So with that, I'll jump into the overall presentation here. This preliminary plat memorializes the utility and drainage easements. I will also point out that City Council will see a final plat and a subdivision improvement agreement that will come back at a later time. It's approximately 5.4 acres. We've identified the public infrastructure. It's also consistent with our UDO requirements for subdivision. Here is an image of the preliminary plat, and effectively what you see here is the boundary lines being depicted along the right-of-way, as well as the proposed utility easements for the public infrastructure that is anticipated for the development of the project. This is just some site data for the proposed development. We are looking at 57 units per acre, a total of 308 residential units. Also, just a breakdown of the mixed-use corridor building coverage, pavement, and impervious coverage requirements. This is all consistent with the UDO. Just a brief overview of what's going in. We're talking water and sewer mains primarily. This is a depiction of those improvements. Also just want to reiterate here that we're talking about 2 movements on York Street. For the council members that are not aware, York Street in this area is actually controlled by the city of Thornton. And so one of the big things that we had to evaluate was also not only our standards, but Thornton standards for their access control. And they signed off on it. And so as we go through this process and we finalize the civil construction documents, Thornton will also be a reviewer and a signatory of a sign-off for final improvements when it comes to actual construction and permitting. Vested rights. So the other item you have for consideration tonight is under our current UDO, when a major site plan is approved, it is good for 2 years. The developer has requested an additional 3 years of 5 years because the market volatility as it is today is so uncertain that they are seeking additional time to essentially find a partner to effectively help leverage the project to get it done. One of the things that was shared during the Plan Commission public hearing was the simple fact that so much time has occurred and the market has changed so much that they really are requesting some additional time. So it's at the discretion of council whether to consider that tonight, but that is effectively what the vested rights will do, is that you're essentially considering whether to extend the current approval from 2 years to 5 years. So our recommendation is approval for the preliminary plat. We find that it's consistent with the UDO. In your packet, you have a lot of pages of information from the Plan Commission staff report. And so we are recommending for both of these approval for CR 94 and CR 95. And with that, I believe I've got one more slide here. You have options to approve as presented, add conditions, or request additional information and table the item.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Director Sabota. Going back to the utility plan diagram, I'm just curious about two things. One, so the 8-inch sewer line, does that tie into our lift station A?
It ties into the grid that will flow to A, yes.
Okay. And we're pretty sure that when we did our upgrade of A, it has extra capacity to
Correct. In
convey
that
this?
regard, on the utility infrastructure side, in our integrated water resource plan that we did, I believe back in 2020, 2019, this particular project was already anticipated and programmed into the modeling. We're in the process, as we speak, of updating both the water and wastewater with Public Works. I believe we have a meeting on Wednesday to further discuss what that looks like.
Okay, gotcha, thank you. And then my second question has to do with the water main line. It looks like it's like
The water
line.
Okay.
The main line. So it looks like a loop, basically, that comes in, and then it eventually terminates right at the intersection of 112th and New York. Is that, besides just trying to hit all the buildings, is that also to ensure that there are tie-ins for fire hydrant?
So effectively, what part of this design concept contemplates is maintaining an appropriate amount of static pressure within the system for when there is a call on a fire plug. So generally, in order to ensure the best capacity for that, as an engineering practice, is to loop the system when possible. So what you see here is a reflection of looping the system in order to help maintain water pressure, so there's not a drop in the event that there is a call on a fire hydrant.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. So my question is really more of a technicality, I guess, and that is, last year, we had House Bill 1313, which was the housing on transit-oriented communities, and we had discussion about that, and there was the whole home rule issue. How does what we've decided to agree to here, is it going to be impacted by that? Are we able to get maybe request funding from the state because we're meeting their requirements? Or, do you have any idea of how, or can you say anything about it?
What I would share with you is that this density at this location is exactly what House Bill 1313 contemplates, and it is consistent with that. I think that this is realistically one of the few locations within the city that we could actually adhere to the expectations that are laid out in that bill.
Will this then make us compliant with that? No.
The answer would be no.
No.
No, and I would say this is the essence of home rule. We are doing everything that the state would want in its spirit, but not in the way they want us to.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I just wanted the clarification on that. Thank you. I think housing is something we all want, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you, Brooke. I'm just looking for some clarification, sir, because as I read through it, it's kind of vague about what's going to happen at that intersection. Because as someone who uses that intersection daily and knows about how it is not big enough as it currently is, I know the engineers disagree, but as someone who actually uses it, and especially when the RTD train comes through that causes more traffic than it alleviates, I just want to make sure I'm reading this. They're saying no negative impact, so that means it's not getting expanded?
That is correct. What you see at the current intersection configuration is the ultimate build out. And this is one of the things with this particular project is that their traffic study was actually the first one done, and they had actually identified everything that was built. But then when RTD came in, we leveraged Dr. Cog tip funding to actually do more and above and beyond to what the roadway impact was, because Thornton was further along in their transportation planning exercises, that we were able to better integrate a better overall roadway template. One of the comments that came up in the Planning Commission hearing with the commissioners was the problems that we're having over at the emissions center, and that is a contributing factor to the challenges that people are facing in this section. I will tell you that the police department has an ongoing working circumstantial situation with that. What has been relayed to me is one of the primary challenges for them is that they only open 2 bays in the morning, and they have, like, I believe 7 or 8, and it's because they can't physically staff enough people to help address the queues at the beginning and the end of the months.
I just thank you for that clarification.
Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for being here, Director Svoboda. The vested rights piece, can you explain, they want to go from 2 years to 5 years, correct? Can you say a little bit more about that process and why they want that?
So generally speaking, when you consider vested rights, the only other instance that we've ever done that is with Carl's Farm. And typically, the reasoning for that is it's a phased project, and so there may be other development partners that are not fully aligned. And so it provides the developer an opportunity to have more time to go out and find partners and or be able to say that this is actually an entitled property and this is how good the entitlement is for. And I think in this particular case, in talking with the applicant and their testimony at the Planning Commission hearing, is that their real major concern is that this property has so much weight with it with the Clomar requirement for the drainage mitigation that it's a higher lift, and that they're looking for other partners to help come in to be able to build the project.
Okay, thank you.
And I would just add, Councilmember Nowicki, vested rights ultimately is an assurance that for some period of time, the rules won't change related to your approvals. And so this is really that extra 3 years for an assurance that those rules won't change. There are other ways to get vested rights other than through the Northglenn Code, and that is if you start pulling building permits, which is what's known as common law vested rights. Mm-hmm. But here we're talking about just the code and this idea of needing more time to make sure the rules don't change on their entitlement approval.
Understood. Thank you, both of you.
So thank you. I was present at the Planning Commission, but one thing that wasn't brought to my attention until after that, Lakewood and Westminster are both struggling with new development because of electricity. They don't have enough. Like, there's not enough on the grid for Excel. Lakewood has projects that are literally stalled, and Westminster can't start new projects. So what do you know about that? Can you look into that? It just made me worry about this one.
So generally speaking, I've not heard anything to that effect. Typically what we do is with Excel under our franchise agreement, we have, I believe it's every 6 or 12 months, we have a pre-planning conversation about future projects. And I can't recall the last time we've had an update with them on that, but I've not heard anything to that effect about the ability to serve or not to serve. Knowing enough to be dangerous about Excel, a lot of times what it is that the existing grid may not be have enough transmission system to it, and so then to be able to build that transmission system, because it's an isolated spot, and to get the power to that spot is sometimes a challenge.
Right.
But I can look further into that. For
Okay.
Sure. I'd be happy to report.
I just want to make sure we're not going to end up in that situation, and it may not apply to us based on the location. And then I also did have a question about the 2 years versus 5 years. Can we do the 2 and then just revisit it at the end?
So if that's the direction the council would like to go, then the option would be is to vote no on the request.
Okay. I guess what made me think of it is in the description of why, it's because of the market. Well, we are seeing the market change drastically, and I just don't, in that 3-year gap, want something to change that's going to make it, I don't know, troublesome in some way. So I don't know. I just wanted to ask that question. Okay. I think that is all we have for questions of staff.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So all those intending to provide testimony on the applications will be placed under oath. If you will be speaking on the applications, please stand as you are able and be sworn in by the city clerk at this time. Nobody else is chatting, just you? Okay. Is the applicant not here? Okay. Well, that negates a lot of the rest of this process if the applicant is not here. Is there anybody else in the audience? We have some guests tonight, but are any of you here for this? No? Okay. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Moving on to ordinances on second reading, CB 2030 is the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment, Natural Medicine Businesses. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, Director of Planning and Development, Brooks Svoboda, is here to provide a summary of this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I do want to, I'll just briefly go over the staff report here. Back in May of this year, Council held a special meeting to discuss this amendment that would essentially regulate natural medicine businesses through land use provisions of the City of Northglenn. What you see before you is as an outcome of that study session. Generally speaking, the laws of natural medicine are mostly covered by the state and not the city. But unlike marijuana, the city cannot ban natural medicine businesses or set up its own licensing system. And so there's actually a legal memo that was also included with your packet item that explains more of the detail behind that. Effectively, what we can do is go where we talk about where, when, and how these businesses operate, which is commonly referred to as time, place, and manner. So largely what you see before you tonight is based on the structure of the marijuana licensing requirements. And so what we were trying to do is essentially create something that was more consistent with what we have already on the books. There are a few variations with that were identified with the time of operations. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions you may have.
Well, the first question I have before I get to council questions is based on, so we got information. We had someone join us for the public hearing and share some thoughts on this issue. If we want to consider modifying the ordinance as it is, what do you recommend? Is it just a no vote and then we go back to the drawing board?
I think there's a few options. You can make a motion to table and study this item further. You can make a motion to deny, or you can make a motion with conditions to modify as you deem necessary based on the feedback you heard in the public testimony.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure council knew what their options were. Councilmember Jaramillo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just looking up the hours for other businesses such as that would be selling similar products such as, let's say, Doc's Apothecary. I was about to pull up their hours, but I do find it troublesome that their hours would only be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I think that would greatly diminish the amount of sales, and we already know like a lot of our sales are in the red right now. I don't think that our economy should be limiting business owners and consumers about the time that they can consume products that are being offered. But also, is this consistent with the medical marijuana, like the buffer? Is that consistent?
More or less, yes.
Okay.
And I think Corey has a comment.
Yeah, I want to answer the mayor's question because I think it depends on what portions of the ordinance you want to revise. I mean, if it is
Okay.
revising the hours, that would be simple and could be done tonight, frankly.
Got it.
The council direction at the study session in May was to make this as restrictive as was permissible under the law related to the time, place, and manner restrictions the city is authorized to impose. To Councilmember Jaramillo's question, the distance limitations as it relates to proximity to places like schools and parks, and the half-mile distance limitation are consistent with the marijuana limitations. Director Sabota is absolutely correct that the city cannot license natural medicine like it can recreational and medical marijuana. It is limited to the time, place, and manner restrictions we're talking about. So if you're looking at the 4 areas that were raised during the public hearing, the hours would be a simple change. If we had to go back to the drawing board on the proximity limitations and the distance limitations that are similar to the marijuana and medical marijuana, that would be a heavier lift. And if you wanted to revise the extraction provisions, that too would be a heavier lift that would probably require more study in bringing it back. If it is simply the hours, could be done tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I may also clarify one thing from Councilmember Armijo, is that this is not retail. This is a therapy facilities where they're administering medication to clients. So this is not like a dispensary. It does not operate in the same sense as that. So.
Okay, but I could see how I'm looking at Doc's Apothecaries. I know it's different than medical marijuana and what we're dealing with here, but they have 1 hour before, at 8 a.m. is when they open, to 10 p.m. on Monday through Saturday, so they allow people who are working normal 9 to 5 an hour before, and then, they probably should not go to work if they're on, I don't think that'd be very good, but, I did not know that that's the only way that they're able to consume is there, right there on site. Is that correct?
Yes, and just to be clear, the hours of operation that are authorized in the city of Northglenn for marijuana businesses, Docs and any other marijuana business can choose their hours of operation within the following limitations. It is between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. 7 days a week. So all of our marijuana businesses are subject to those limitations. If council wanted the same type of limitations, it certainly can do so. That's different from the direction that was given in May, but that, again, is an easy change.
Yeah, it does show 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Thank you.
I know they're different, but, we allow both in our city.
Thank you. Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. So the reasons I heard from our speaker about the things like the zoning area, the proximity, and the processing, well, I don't know enough about the processing to say one way or the other, honestly. But the zoning area and the proximity buffer being too restrictive and too small, that is the marijuana one. And there are safety reasons, whatever, people would feel more comfortable and feel safer if those were kept. But I would consider expanding the hours of operation. And the reason for that, and I'm trying to remember, back when maybe, I don't know why we overlooked that particular detail, but to me, this is a medical use. It's the question is of access for people who need this medical treatment. And I do believe that the hours of operation should be expanded so that people can come when they're not working. If they're working 9 to 5, then they would be totally unable to take advantage of this. So the hours of operation are something I would consider changing. And if that's the only thing, like we were saying, we could probably just do that tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Actually, I wonder if I could ask the speaker a question.
Just note, it's not part of the public hearing record. The public hearing is closed.
Well, that is right. I'm not an expert either in extracting psilocybin, but if this is just a facility to administer, would you need to manufacture the active ingredient on site, or could it actually be brought in vials or containers or what have you? How does that work exactly?
So, and you can feel free to step in and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 3 license types essentially being offered. There's cultivation, manufacturing with an extraction endorsement, and then you have, a healing center where you actually receive that. It's not a dispensary system. It's the cultivation and manufacturing might be more akin to what we see on cannabis, but the administration of the medicine is entirely different. It's not walking up to dispensary and walking home with a bag of mushrooms. When it comes to extraction, the extraction endorsement is really what allows you to utilize those solvents, CO2, ethanol, alcohol, that kind of thing, to separate, the active ingredients in mushrooms, which is psilocybin and psilocin. And so essentially, you can do water-soluble extractions. That is very plausible. However, there's issues with that. And so, if I'm trying to make a tincture, I'm going to probably prefer to do an ethanol alcohol extraction. Currently, as the bill is written, that's a non-option for me. So, if I was a business owner looking to set up in Northglenn, I would probably cut out extraction and manufacturing and maybe just look for a healing center. That is kind of what I'm trying to raise, is that the restrictiveness of this bill, as it is written right now, is going to dissuade people from even investigating Northglenn as an option.
Gotcha. Can I just ask, though, if it's just a healing center, do you have to extract the active ingredient on site when you're administering it, or
No.
is it something that can be brought to the location, to the healing center as in a vial or other convenient container?
So it's similar in that vein to cannabis. You cultivate, you harvest, you dry them out, you extract it, through whatever manufacturing process you're doing, and then you transport it to the healing center.
Okay.
You can have co-licensed facilities. I don't know how many people right now in the state have done, a healing center right on top of their cultivation facility or manufacturing facility. But, those are the three entities, separate but equal. And so, yes, you could have a manufacturing facility in Denver transfer manufactured product up here to Northglenn,
Okay.
if there's just a healing center.
Understand. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Director Svoboda, just a kind of a point of clarification here. I'm looking at page 3 with all the different circles on it. Just so I'm clear, the centers could exist in one of those circles, right?
Theoretically.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because of the criteria that we have, some of those are child daycares. Those come and go, and so we have to refresh. This is really just to be a graphical representation point in time of what it might look like. But it's very much just for informational purposes, to give you an idea of what it would potentially be in terms of locations.
Okay,
Not
so theoretically,
necessarily-
they could
Absolutely.
operate in one of those circles.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have any other hands up. I think the issue of time for me is interesting, because I do recall the conversation we had, and I think there's still confusion between dispensary and this natural medicine facility and the licensing piece of it and what our role actually is with these. So as we learn new information, to me, it seems like if this is a healing center, natural medicine, wouldn't it be similar to a medical office, and we don't regulate the hours that they get to choose to be open?
That is precisely the policy decision for you. Many people believe it is like a medical office. Others do not, in terms of how it's regulated. And so if you want it, you are authorized under your time, place, and manner restrictions to limit the hours. You are not required to.
Okay. Because I'm making the correlation between a dentist office, a medical office. They have a lot of medication. They dispense a lot of stuff to people, and it's not in our purview to decide what hours they get to be open. And so if they choose to do 9 to 5, which a lot of doctors' offices do, which is super inconvenient for the rest of us, but sometimes they're open on Saturdays, right? Or they have one night a week or whatever. So I don't feel comfortable regulating their hours. That's the only thing that I'm wanting to discuss.
If it would be not regulating the hours at all, it would simply be literally deleting subsection 3A on page 5 of your packet. If you wanted to change the hours to make it consistent with marijuana, for example, it would be amending that same section to say between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. 7 days a week.
Okay, I don't think we should be deciding what hours they're open. So that's just my opinion. I'm not quite sure where council members stand. Councilmember Nowicki, do you have a response to that, or was your hand just old? Does anyone have a thought on that? Can I toss that to the council?
I would just say the same as the marijuana, which was they could choose hours between, what was that, 8 and 10?
8 a.m. and 10 p.m., 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
I
Okay.
can't imagine it, but I don't know that I want somebody trying to do this at 1 a.m. or something.
No,
So,
that's
yeah,
true.
So the ones, the restrictions or whatever limitations we have for marijuana makes sense.
Okay. Anybody else have agreement to that?
I believe that's fair. 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. seems fair.
7 days a week?
7 days a week, yep.
How are you two feeling about it? You still thinking?
I'm curious what other council members are thinking.
Okay. No, let's just discuss it.
Well, I guess I'm kind of torn because it's not kind of the dispensary, but then again, more of kind of the medical setting because people will be coming kind of for the medical treatments. And that's typically, I mean, I would not be opposed to going to like at least 8 p.m. 7 days a week, yeah, it would create access for people who work kind of non-traditional hours. So I would be okay capping it at 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
All right, we've got quite the discussion happening. I haven't heard from everyone though. Councilmember Walker?
I think I'm with Councilmember Nowicki, 8 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, how long does a typical session take? Do we know?
Don't know.
About 8 hours.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
8 hours?
We're talking about like a psilocybin session? Yeah. 6 to 8 hours.
Okay. Does that change your mind?
Well, so then people wouldn't just be popping by after work. They would essentially take the whole day.
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's why I think going to 10 p.m. makes more sense, because the sessions, as had been mentioned, are really long.
Yeah.
Do we know how long the effects last after a session?
Okay, so we seem to be undecided on time unless we want to go with, I don't know, we went back and forth.
Mayor, I would suggest that the way to tee it up is for someone to make a motion to amend and make that motion separately from the motion on the ordinance as a whole, and then you can vote on the ordinance as amended. So it'd be a
Well,
separate motion on the amendment once you figure it out.
I agree, we just have to figure out what the amendment is. So are we going 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 8 a.m.? Yes, we're back to 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So I need someone to make a motion to amend Section A.
I move to amend this, whatever, resolution to change the hours of operation to consistent with a with the marijuana hours of operation 8 to 10.
I think this is an ordinance, not a resolution.
Oh, ordinance, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, just making sure we all know that. Okay.
Yeah, 7 days a week, same as the marijuana.
So are
Somebody
we
needs to
voting on the
second
Second.
So we need to vote on the amendment, or are we voting as amended? Great. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
I think she needed to drop off because,
Okay.
yeah,
Whoops.
she wasn't feeling well.
Okay, I will close that vote, and the motion to amend CB 2030 passes with 1 no vote cast by Councilmember Kondo.
Okay. All right, so now we have the amended ordinance. Any further discussion on the other items? Councilmember Goff?
Oh, no, that was
Oh.
from before, sorry.
Is this also from before? Okay. Are there any other items the council wants to discuss? All right, hearing none, please open the vote.
Now the vote is open.
Oh, we lost Jay for a minute. Just go see if he can vote real fast so we can move on.
Okay, I will close that vote, and CB 2030 as amended on second reading passes with 1 no vote cast by Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you. Moving on to CB 2032, will the clerk please read the title?
A bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Article 14 of the Northglenn Municipal Code concerning unclaimed property.
Sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. Deputy City Manager Jason Loveland is here with a summary of this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Hi.
This council bill is going to amend Chapter 6, Article 14 of the Municipal Code regarding unclaimed property. We presented this on September 22nd and held the public hearing. This is really just to initiate House Bill 25-1224 that was adopted during the 2025 legislative session that establishes updated requirements for the disposition of unclaimed property. And this legislation really creates a uniform process throughout the state. And so this is updating language in our municipal code to align with that House bill. So happy to answer any questions.
Don't believe we have any questions on this one. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote. There's 6 of us. We'll just roll with it.
I will close that vote, and the motion passes unanimously of the members present.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Moving into resolutions. Okay. CR 78, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving addendum number 3 to the agreement between the City of Northglenn and Brannan Sand and Gravel Company, LLC, for the 2025 Residential Streets Program.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
All right, we're going to welcome Director of Public Works, Sarah Borgers, to provide a summary. Hello.
Mayor and Council, it's good to see you this evening. Resolution 78 is our residential streets program for 2025. We are going to be doing a mill and overlay on Gaylord Way, Bonita Place, Palmer Lane, Emory Road, Mildred Drive, and Navajo Street. The specific blocks are listed in the council memo. This contract with Brannan is multi-year contract, and this particular one will be for $610,000, $610,801.09. You will see when you look at the budget that was approved, that is substantially less than what we have budgeted for this year. We would like to roll over those remaining funds to next year and do some full depth reconstruction. So for next year. So these roads will take the top approximately 2 inches off, replace that top 2 inches. Next year, we'd like to take all of the asphalt out down to the road base for some of those roads that have issues with the subgrade. We could do mill and overlay on those roads, but they will just fail a lot more quickly. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On Exhibit B, page 7, I'm curious. So you have crack ceiling, streets TBD. I would assume that's much like last year, just sealing any cracks throughout the entire city?
Yes, where are you looking at?
Yes, that's on page 7, line 37.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that is the case. So it looks like we've got about 36,400 pounds of crack seal, and those are the black lines that you see woven on the streets. They're not the prettiest thing, but they do keep water out of the pavement and maintain the life of that asphalt for longer.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you, appreciate it. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote. CR 94, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving the Station Village Subdivision Preliminary Plat.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
All right, come on back.
I'm happy to answer any questions. Staff presentation pretty much covered all those bases, so.
It did. I'm a little curious as to why that applicant didn't come to the public hearing.
I am very shocked. They knew to be here tonight, and I have no understanding as to why. I have not received an email or anything as to why they're not here.
Okay. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm also kind of curious, right? So it looks like there's kind of this drainage piece that runs across the northern part of that trapezoid, for lack of a better description of that area.
That's correct, yep.
So I'm assuming the water is going to run from west to east. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so all that water is going to run from Northglenn into Thornton, and I'm assuming Thornton is signed off. They're all good.
That is correct.
We're not creating a problem for Thornton.
Just to elaborate a little bit, one of the challenges that we had with this particular project is when the end line came through, RTD effectively increased the flow and velocity of the historic flow onto this site, which complicated the measures of what needed to be done here. So when we sat down with the project team as well as with Thornton, we were trying to figure out a solution that would hopefully better manage the release rate and the velocity of an event. And so with that, we worked closely with Thornton about the underpass that goes under York to make sure that the channel and whatnot worked for them. It is also important to note that the property to the east of York that is in Thornton, the majority of that is in a 100-year flood. All of that water essentially goes to the end of the vacant land through another inlet that then discharges into Mary Carpenter Park.
Thank you for explaining that, because the one thing that kind of came to mind for me, of course, is all the flooding and things that occurred along 112th. So I wanted to make sure the water was not flowing in that direction.
Correct. What effectively this draw that you're referring to collects not only that flow that runs along 112th, it basically runs along 112th and then takes a left turn and heads north along the railway. But in addition to that, there's 3 other discharge points to the north along the railway from the subdivision to the west. So which is the original Northglenn one of the original Northglenn subdivisions, and that water also is collected. So it's a combination of water directly due west and water that runs the entire length of 112th to this point.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? No? Okay, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 94 passes with 2 no votes cast by council members Walker and Roper.
CR 94, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving a vested rights development agreement between the City of Northglenn and Station Village LLC regarding the Station Village development.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
All right. Brooke, tell us about this one.
So as stated in the public hearing presentation, the applicant is requesting an extension from 2 years to 5 years for their approval for their major site development plan. What you're considering tonight is essentially granting an additional 3 years above what's prescribed in the UDO.
Okay. I'm going to go first just because I was thinking about the last vote. I was surprised by 2 no votes, and I guess I would encourage us to comment and engage in discussion so that if, for example, the individuals with the no votes wanted to convince the rest of us that I want you to have that opportunity because there could be something we're missing. And if we're not engaging in that discussion before the final vote, it could be putting a project in, I don't know, it could just be limiting our success. So I would just recommend that. And in fact, I'm going to model that by saying I'm going to vote no on this because the applicant did not come. And I have some concerns about market and what's going to happen in 5 years versus 2. And so I will be voting no for that reason. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. So Director Sabota, I just want to clarify, like the advantage of doing something like this is really so that this developer can find investors and he's got a sense of security because we aren't going to change things for the next 5 years.
That is correct. And one of their major concerns is that with the amount of volatility in the market right now and with the market, the global aspect and whatnot, is that there's a lot of uncertainty in the development in terms of financing and who they can go and partner with. And so part of the logic behind their request was that there's so much uncertainty that their concern is that that they will not have enough time to effectively secure another partner and then commence development within the next 2 years.
So if we don't anticipate making any changes, there really isn't a disadvantage for us unless maybe like some other developer might want to swoop in 2 years and with a better option or a better offer to us.
I think the question, the theoretical that comes up is that after 2 years, they have to come back again to the Planning Commission and to the City Council and make the same ask all over again, and the outcome could be different.
Yeah, so it's really, like I said before, helping them get investors so that they can actually go through with the project.
That is the main motivation behind the ask.
All right, I would vote for this, but for that reason.
Okay. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Director Sabota, I want to make sure I heard you correctly in that you're saying the total vested period is 5 years.
That's correct.
So we're already down 2 years. So in essence, we're just giving them 3 more years?
That is correct.
Okay. Not 5 additional years?
That's correct. It's not 7 total, it's 5 total.
Check. I'm kind of leaning into the affirmative, but I'm more than happy to listen to other viewpoints.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You said this started kind of in 2017, is that correct?
No, longer than that.
Longer than that?
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years.
Okay, how long has this kind of developer, who's putting this forward, been attached to this?
All of the way. What has happened is that there's been one primary developer who's had multiple partners, and for stuff you can't make up circumstances, has lost partners along the way. Some of them through illness and death, others for other circumstances. And so effectively where they're at right now is that they've gotten to a point where they now feel confident that they have a good group that they can then go out and market this to other potential project people. Because a lot of times, like with Carl's Farm is, for example, Carl's Farm Development, they then sold the single-family residential to Richmond Homes and Meritage, and then the Southern Land did the multifamily. So they were actually not the developer, they were not the builder. And so that's kind of a similar situation, is they're really going out there to find another partner to do the build.
Okay. And just for clarification, Councilmember Kondo's question, they're looking for an additional 3 years?
That's correct.
Okay.
3 on top of what's allowed under the code.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Walker.
Thank you. I renew with my questions become my objections. That area can't handle the traffic as it is right now. Plus, I actually support the mayor on this with given the additional time, who knows what's going to happen in the market. So I'm a no on this.
Councilmember Roper?
I would also on this one agree with the mayor, and part of my reasoning for voting no on the last one was the applicant's failure to appear and to be a part of this process, especially knowing that they've been involved for 10 years. I do think we need to look at the weight it will cause on our resources, and that's why I voted no.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember Nowicki?
In regards to that needing kind of more clarification, you're saying that there were studies done that went kind of above and beyond that said it can sustain the infrastructure?
That is correct. Water and sewer, there's not, the grid, it has been studied that we can accommodate the growth. It's from an augmentation standpoint and also from the existing service grid area, i.e. what's out there in terms of existing water and sewer pipe. The transportation component to this is that when we originally did 112th Avenue, back in 2012 through 2014, when I was first starting out here, one of the questions that was brought up is why aren't we building a 5-lane template? And the engineering division at the time went out and reevaluated the traffic modeling, and effectively what they came back to is the majority of the land, absent what you see on that graphical depiction of the area, the majority of land surrounding 112th between Colorado and Washington is essentially built out. And so additional traffic that would be running through that area and putting in a 5-lane or 4-lane roadway template west of York would effectively only increase the ability for people from Thornton to drive quicker through the city of Northglenn, and that effectively, when they looked at the travel demand and the mode split in that original study, they said it didn't make sense. The other factor that came to the city council for that consideration, because that then city council asked the very same question, why aren't we doing this? And then part of the other factor, deciding factor at the time, was how much it was going to cost to put the open channel into a box culvert. And you effectively, in order to put in a 5-lane template, you would have to effectively box culvert the road. That's what was identified at the time. That cost was more than the actual roadway project. Looking at where we are today, I believe it was about $6.7 million back in 12-13. I can only tell you that it's exponentially more now to do the same consideration. And then when RTD came online, we were very cognizant of what does it really mean? Because when I started, it was 2044 is what we were told the end line was going to be built. And we were able to effectively change that timeline. But then when we did that, we worked closely with Thornton and RTD to make sure that we were properly mitigating. And as it turns out, their mitigation measures with the tip went above and beyond what was otherwise identified in the traffic study to mitigate the impact from this project.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. So another comment you had made earlier was about parking. And so I'm making an assumption here, but I'm assuming that this, because of its location, their expectation is people are going to be using the end line, like say to commute to work or whatever. Correct. And so can you say something about, will there be like maybe less parking, or how much parking do you think? And so then how much traffic would be increased on the road?
So they are providing 322 parking, or 323 parking spaces for the 308 units. They requested a 25% discount based on proximity to the station because they are directly doing that. So that was what was presented to the Planning Commission. The concern from one planning commissioner was well, what happens when they're overflowing? And the response that I gave at the time was that they will likely park over in the inline parking lot because it's directly adjacent to it. But if you look at the surrounding area, there's very little places of opportunity for people to park on the street because York and 112th don't really accommodate that.
So I think the expectation, or people who would, be renting a unit here would realize before they even rented it, they have one parking space.
That's correct.
And I would say, based on my experience with my children, that generation of people, is that a lot of them only have one car. And that, they're much more conscious about, using up gasoline and, the traffic and stuff. And they do use public transportation more than I do. So that is also another thing that I think we can take into consideration, is that maybe not as much traffic as you might expect.
One of the things about when we adopted this provision under the UDO, one of the prevailing planning logic theories to this is that a single family household generates about 10 trips per day. Apartments are a little bit less. And typically what you consider is that with multimodal is that it accommodates for up to 2 trips per day, sometimes 2 to 2.5. So that's where the 25% discount comes from, is that the idea is that people living proximal to the station will use it to commute to and from work. Whether that actually happens or not is a whole other
Right. Well, thank you.
I don't see any more hands. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote. And CR 95 fails. The affirmative votes cast by council members Goff, Jaramillo, and Nowicki.
Thank you.
Thank you. CR 96, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution adopting the City of Northglenn 2026 pay plan and 2026 personnel summary.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Director of Human Resources and Chief Diversity Officer Tamara Dixon is here. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, council members. I'm here to present for approval the 2026 pay plan and personnel summary. The proposed 2026 plan remains unchanged from the 2025 pay plan. And we are not requesting the addition of any new positions to the personnel summary. As you may be aware, our pay plan is drafted in partnership with Lori Graves Consulting. As is customary, the pay plan and personnel summary will come before you this evening as part of the 2026 budget adoption, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about our pay plan you might have at this time.
We don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 96 passes unanimously.
Thank you. CR 97, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution establishing the mill levy of the City of Northglenn, Colorado for the fiscal year 2025, collectible in 2026 for municipal purposes.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Deputy City Manager Jason Loveland is here again. Hello.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this resolution, as mentioned, sets the 2025 mill levy for 2026 collection at 11.597. If approved, this would be the 35th consecutive year that the mill levy rate for the city is set at 11.597 mils. Just really quick, the mill levy consists of a perpetual 7.597 mils used for general support and operations, and then a perpetual 4 mils, which is restricted for the purposes of major road and street reconstruction projects. So the 2025 preliminary evaluations issued by the assessor's offices of Adams and Weld totaled just under $620 million, which is 13.85% of an increase over 2024. Based off of this, the mill levy calculation would generate just under $7.2 million, $4.7 million, which would be for general use, and then $2.5 million roughly for the road reconstruction efforts. So happy to answer any questions. Staff recommends approval of this.
Any questions? I don't think so. Thank you. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 97 passes unanimously.
CR 98, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution adopting the 2026 budget of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, and appropriating the sums set forth therein.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Take it away.
All right. Thanks again. No presentation on the budget tonight, but I just wanted to highlight a few key areas real briefly before it's considered. So tonight, obviously, we're considering CR 98, which is a resolution to adopt the proposed 2026 annual operating and capital improvement budget. This is in accordance with Article 8 of the city charter. So the budget serves as the city's financial blueprint and identifies how we allocate resources and kind of guide operations to meet the changes in service needs of the community. A little background on this year's budget. On September 8th, staff formally presented the proposed budget to council. We also engaged in conversations and discussions on August 4th and August 18th to help find direction and discuss various priorities. On September 22nd, the public hearing was held to provide the community an opportunity to provide input and for transparency purposes, which are required. This proposed budget totals $100.25 million across all funds, includes significant investments in infrastructure and city services while maintaining financial responsibility. A few of the highlights in the budget are some key capital investments. Those include civic center development and investment to the north of where we are right now. Community Center Drive, bridge repair and rehabilitation. The residential street program, once again, we just talked about that earlier tonight. And investment in our wastewater infrastructure, which is a major component of the budget in 2026. So the general fund, which is our largest operating fund, is balanced. It has revenues of $40.4 million and expenditures of $39.9 million. And again, we maintain a healthy fund balance of over $15 million, which is well above our reserve policy minimum of 25%. In the utility and enterprise funds, so this is water, wastewater, stormwater, sanitation. There is included in the budget water and wastewater rate increase that was previously adopted as part of a 5-year plan, so that's included for 2026. We're on year 4 of that plan. The wastewater fund does include an issuance of $23 million of revenue bonds to support the primary clarifier and digester project at the wastewater plant. And then the sanitation fund has a major investment included in the budget for our fleet replacement, a couple of trash trucks to be replaced in 2026. You just heard about the pay plan, so there's no additional staff or FTEs being included in this budget. Compensation levels are remaining flat, and there's modest increase to our benefits, specifically to health insurance increases that we saw of 2.5% during the enrollment period. So from a fiscal outlook perspective, sales tax revenue is projected to remain flat. We are seeing, as I just mentioned, some increase in our property tax revenues. That's in particular to the oil and gas valuations from Weld County. At this time, we'll continue to closely monitor the economic trends and seek opportunities to support redevelopment, especially in some of our commercial corridors. We're committed to continue to take a strategic long-term view of both the revenue generation and our investment in infrastructure to help balance the needs of today with kind of the ongoing future obligations that we may have, specifically as we commit to providing services and our infrastructure. With that, I say thank you and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Deputy City Manager. Question going back to page 1. Obviously, community development block grants, 0. So is there any potential or possibility that monies may flow in and we're just kind of taking a more conservative out of abundant caution, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've actually allocated our operation of that program to the county. So we're not seeing any inflows as the county is collecting that directly to operate our funding from that. So we continue to show it as a fund that we may potentially receive. We receive about $250,000 annually from that. But since we've provided the county the authority to manage that program for us, we continue to show the budget as 0. We've been doing that for a few years now, just that we don't lose sight that we do have funding coming in from that community development block grant.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other comments, discussion, questions for staff? No? Okay. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 98 passes with 1 no vote cast by Councilmember Walker.
CR 99, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving an agreement between the City of Northglenn and Bristlecone Construction, LLC for the E.B. Raines Jr. Memorial Park Renovation Project.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, welcome, Parks Project Manager. Jaycee, nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys as well. Well, this park is, or this project is one of the most beloved parks in the city of Northglenn, so the E.B. Raines Renovation Project. So this project, we commissioned RDG Planning Design to develop conceptual design in 2023. In 2024, we worked with the construction documents and then grant acquisition, and now we're coming to you. So this project consists of upgrading existing bathrooms at E.B. Raines. You notice that we have portalets there. Our park staff and as well as facilities having difficulty maintaining the current existing restrooms as they are. So that will renovate this restroom. This project will also renovate the switchback and replace the sitting wall on the eastern side of the park. So as you walk around the eastern side of Webster Lake, the sitting wall will be removed. The seating there will be just bump outs, and then we'll also replace the switchback down to the neighborhood. That also enhances our ADA accessibility at the site. This project also consists of a small hardscaping area where we can't grow grass by the skate park. There's no irrigation. It's just a nice, our goal was to have a nice skatable surface that also protects the area. Last but not least is the big project of this park project is the construction of a new parks storage facility and event storage. With the old city hall, we had a garage there. We had ample storage for the events. This project will replace that, but also add plumbed restrooms where the existing portalets are located on the eastern parking lot. So this is a project. The contractor is ready to begin construction as soon as possible. The project will wrap up in February, and then the irrigation and landscaping will be wrapped up in early April. We're really excited about this project. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Councilmember Goff?
It's not a question, but thank you for all the work that you and the Parks Department have done on this. It's been a long time coming. I remember when we very first started talking about this, so it'll be great to see this actually getting started. Yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. No questions. Thank you. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 99 passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right. CR 100, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving an agreement between the City of Northglenn and Bristlecone Construction LLC for the Jaycee Park renovation project.
Move for approval.
Seconded.
All right, tell us about this one.
All right, so this is at our only lit ball field at Jaycee. So the Jaycee Park renovation project. If you go to those bathrooms, you go to the dog park, go to the ball field, the bathrooms are in dire need of ADA upgrades and improvements. So this project will really tackle that, but also at the scorekeeper's booth, we currently have a spiral staircase. This will be a normal staircase, make it more accessible for folks to go up there in the scorekeeper's booth, but also renovate the whole scorekeeper's booth in its entirety. So right now we have this window that cranks up. This will be normal windows that you can open and close. Just really put a new, fresh face on this facility that we're looking forward to as well.
Great, thank you. Any questions about this? All right, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 100 passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. CR 101, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving addendum number 1 to the professional services agreement between the City of Northglenn and Fiore and Sons Incorporated for former City Hall abatement and demolition services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, Sarah's back. Tell us about this one.
Mayor and Council. So this is an addendum to our contract with Fiore and Sons to do some additional work at City Hall. There's two things that have happened since last we talked about it. One is related to the elevator. We had some, I'll call it back and forth with the company that was going to do those elevators. We're needing to go a different direction now, so this is part of that. The other piece is when we went and did the final walkthrough before they brought out the bulldozers, they identified that there are some light fixtures and other things that are regulated building materials that have to be removed of and disposed of. So that is an additional $60,495.94 for this addendum. For a total of $551,662. We are also asking to reset our contingency on this. So we've asked for $50,000 on the contingency. I'm happy to answer questions.
Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Director Borgia. So my question is, when are they going to start tearing it down? Do we know?
Yeah, I spoke with the project manager last week, and right now they're tentatively talking about the 20th, getting remobilized back on site.
So 20th of
this month.
Okay,
Yep.
I have people asking me all the time, when is that thing coming down? So thank you.
Yes, indeed. And I guess I'll say the 20th they'll be removed, but they're going to be working inside, getting rid of some of those building materials and decommissioning the elevator.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So Director Borges, you said some of the regulated building materials are in the light fixtures? Did I hear that?
That is one of the locations. We did have an engineering firm go back through and make sure and identify everything that was out there. The fixtures were one of the things that came up. There were a number of other things that I would not want to get wrong, but
Gotcha.
yes, sir.
Just kind of curious if it's like mercury in the fluorescent bulbs or that sort of thing.
That sort of thing, indeed.
Okay. And then asbestos as well, or no? There, thank God, knock on wood, there was
All
not.
the asbestos has been abated at this point.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 101 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment. Statements must be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be related to an item previously addressed by council during the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to council at this time?
I want Rush as much this time. I'll make it a little bit more personal. It's about, I want to honor you guys for your domestic violence that you brought forward. I know I've been hard about some of the negative things that happened, and I also want to say that I don't think the council, you were aware of the repercussions that would happen from CR 54. But I want to play you a little something, and then I'll tell you a story. Well, hold on, let me get on speaker.
Hi, Daddy. It's me. I was just calling to chat, see how you were doing, and catch up. Talk to you when I can. Love you. Bye.
So that was recorded in 22. She's one of the kids I talked about earlier that I'm extremely proud of. And I might lose it here. Extremely proud of her. She graduated Northglenn. She's one of the kids that went through this whole process. She had 6 kids. Her common law husband beat her to death on New Year's Eve over 2 years ago. Her birthday was the 10th, so I'm a little shaky this week, but so I just want to thank you guys for acknowledging that and bringing that to light. And it's interesting because I even could ask Pastor Dusty when he came in, I don't like to include that when I talk about how I love to serve and things I love to do, so I'm a huge advocate for domestic violence. And I typically don't bring that up because I don't want it to be a victim status to try to force a decision in some way. But with you guys bringing that to light this evening, then I thought I would come up and say that. So I think that's hugely important, and I hope that you guys stay at it. I hope that the police continue to enforce that and go through that process. Just a brief picture, there was over 70 wounds to her body. She was strangled to death with a belt that actually broke from this man that had been with her for all of these years. So it's not just the process of coming to that you have to be aware of. The 2 years after that, of all the court hearings and everything else until he was finally put in jail for 40 years, that's a process too. So anytime there's advocates in that situation, there's a whole process that needs to be advocated for too. So I would also ask not just for the prevention that you guys are talking about, but that you also put in some kind of advocacy after for the families. It's huge. Mm-hmm. It's huge. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to provide public comment? Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. I will entertain a motion that the City Council hold an executive session, 1, pursuant to Section 4.5D of the City of Northglenn Home Rule Charter for legal consultation and advice regarding managing public spaces, and 2, pursuant to Section 4.5A for personnel matters regarding the city clerk's performance evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Adam's gone. So, okay. I will close that vote, and the motion to meet in executive session passes unanimously of the members present.
Great, thank you. We will adjourn to the executive session. Have a great night, everyone.